I don't know. It's one of those games where once again Michigan doesn't look. They don't win pretty. Like they didn't win pretty versus Iowa. They didn't win pretty today. The score margin looked good enough, but when you really watch the totality of the game, it wasn't a clean, super clean game by them.
Uh-uh.
So you do wonder about that, Des, when you think about the quote unquote better opponents like Penn State and Ohio State, because at the end of the day, look, that's what we're measuring them against. Because we're not in here to win 8 or 9 games and that's a good season. No, Michigan's in it to win 11, 12 games, win a Big Ten. And so we have to measure them by how are they trending towards that. So look, good, but they definitely still was sloppy today. And it's one of those games where you hope maybe a little bit was, one, the emotional roller coaster about what happened to Mike Hart. Maybe also a little bit of lack of focus because you're worried about Penn State or something like that. But I can tell you this: they can't come out first half versus Penn State the way they came out the first half versus Indiana.
Yeah, and the thing that I get concerned about with the play calling is you look at last week, and I think we can all agree that the play calling was very conservative offensively. I think we could look at this week and say the same thing, that the play calling was pretty conservative offensively. The difficult part is you don't just flip a switch because you're playing a better team and all of a sudden you play better. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
your play calling is all of a sudden more aggressive. Like you're best to do those things no matter who you're playing. So ideally, you would have loved to go out and throttle Iowa. Ideally, you would have loved to come out and throttle Indiana so that you get into a role going into Penn State, right? Because we talked about from the beginning of the season, all you want to focus on is wins, improving each week, right? Being a
Right.
better team this week than you were last week. And I mean, you could I don't know. I mean, does I'll ask our viewers, do you feel like this Michigan team, the way they played today, was better than last week? Like I'm not sure it's clear either way. You know what I mean? And I think to me that's the problem, especially when
Yeah.
you play a worse team.
Mm. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a really good question, Des. And Greg Patterson, I'm looking at comments. Said, I don't care about winning pretty. I care about winning the game. We are a conservative play calling team. It's not going to change. Greg, you're right. And me and Des recognize that. I think the problem is, and what someone could say is, well, last year, look, we didn't win pretty a lot last year, and you saw what we eventually did. You guys said we couldn't win against Ohio State the way we were playing, and we did it. And that's 100% correct. It's hard, when you're watching your team win, quote unquote, ugly or conservative, and then you're looking at your contemporary, especially Ohio State, not so much Penn State, but especially Ohio State, where they're a lot more explosive, and you just get worried, like, man, can we win a shootout type of game? What if our defense is not as effective? I mean, can we really survive that? And I don't know. That's where it gets kind of scary for me. But one thing I will say about this Michigan team is they find a way to win in different ways each week. Um, and so that's a good thing. But I don't know, man. Look, I'm not complaining about them. I think they're a really good team. I think they're gonna. I still think them have a really good shot versus Ohio State. Right? I expect them to beat Penn State next week. But it's definitely some things that you're looking at, man. You're like, man, they still have to improve in certain areas.